The Jedi were supposed to be the wisest beings in the galaxy, guardians of peace, keepers of balance. But somewhere along the way, they lost sight of what truly mattered. They became warriors in a war they should have never fought, servants to a republic that had already begun to rot from within. They were blinded by their own arrogance, convinced that they were untouchable. But one Jedi saw what the others refused to acknowledge. One Jedi walked the path they had long abandoned. Qui-Gon Jinn was not like the others. He did not seek power. He did not crave recognition. He followed the Force, not the Council. And for that, he was cast aside. They called him a rogue, a radical, a man too reckless to sit among them. But the truth is, Qui-Gon was not reckless. He was free, and that is what made him dangerous. Because a man who cannot be controlled is a man who cannot be broken. The Jedi feared what they could not control. That is why they feared Anakin. That is why they feared Qui-Gon. And that is why they fell. The Order that claimed to serve the Force no longer understood it. They lived by rules, not by instinct. They obeyed laws, not destiny. They had become hollow echoes of what they once were. But Qui-Gon, he was different. He understood what the Jedi were meant to be. Imagine a world where they had listened to him, where they had trusted his wisdom instead of dismissing it, where the Jedi had embraced their flaws instead of hiding from them. The Clone Wars might have never happened. Anakin Skywalker might have never fallen. The Jedi Order might have endured. But that is not what happened, because the ones who claimed to have vision were too blind to see the truth. In this video, we are going to break down why Qui-Gon Jinn was the last true Jedi, why his wisdom threatened the very foundation of the Order, why his teachings could have saved them all, and why his death sealed their fate long before the Clone Wars even began. The Jedi once stood as guardians of peace, wielding the Force with discipline and purpose. But somewhere along the way, they lost sight of what truly mattered. Qui-Gon Jinn saw this. He understood that the Jedi were becoming blind to their own flaws, tangled in bureaucracy, and detached from the very Force they claimed to serve. He did not care about the Council's approval, nor did he seek their validation. He followed the Force, not tradition, and that terrified the Order. They called him reckless, but what they truly feared was his independence. He listened when others refused to hear. He saw what they ignored. He questioned what they blindly accepted. Qui-Gon believed that the Force was more than a tool, more than a weapon for the Republic's war machine. He understood that it was alive, a guiding presence, something deeper than rules and restrictions. While others followed orders, he followed the whispers of the Force itself. The Jedi should have learnt from him, but instead, they dismissed him. If they had listened, everything might have been different. If they had embraced his wisdom, maybe the Jedi would have survived. Maybe Anakin would have found a father instead of a master. Maybe balance could have been achieved without war, but they were too blind to see, too stubborn to change. The Jedi Code was meant to be a path to enlightenment, a guide to understanding the Force. But over time, it became something else. It became a cage. The Jedi swore off attachments, emotions, and love, believing that detachment made them stronger. But Qui-Gon knew the truth. It did not make them strong. It made them empty. What is a Jedi without feeling? What is a warrior without purpose? They claimed to fight for peace, but they had no understanding of life beyond their own temple walls. Qui-Gon knew that the Force was not something to be controlled. It was something to be experienced, to be understood on a level that the Council had long forgotten. They rejected him because he refused to be controlled, because he would not kneel to their rigid doctrine. He saw what the Jedi were becoming. Soldiers, not protectors. Enforcers of law, not seekers of balance. They were pawns in a political game, blind to the truth unraveling before them. Qui-Gon was free in a way they could never be. He did not fear love, nor did he suppress his emotions. He understood that compassion was not a weakness, but the very essence of the Force. The Jedi could not see it, and that is why they fell. That is why they crumbled under the weight of their own arrogance. They dismissed him, laughed at him, ignored the warning signs that only he could see. Qui-Gon was not just a rogue Jedi. He was the last who truly understood what it meant to be one. While the Council sat in their chambers, debating politics and clinging to outdated beliefs, Qui-Gon walked the path of the Force itself. They believed themselves wise, yet they failed to recognize the coming storm. They believed themselves strong, yet they fell without a fight. They believed themselves just, yet they turned a blind eye to the corruption that surrounded them. Qui-Gon could have saved them, but they refused to listen. Even when he stood before them with the Chosen One, even when he told them of the boy's destiny, they turned him away. They saw Anakin as a threat, as something to be feared. But Qui-Gon saw him as something more. He saw a child in need, a soul longing for guidance, a heart yearning for belonging. The Council made their choice. They let fear guide them instead of wisdom. They pushed Anakin away when he needed them most, and in doing so, they sealed their fate. They did not just lose the Jedi Order. They lost everything they were meant to stand for. What if Qui-Gon had trained Anakin? What if he had been the one to guide him instead of Obi-Wan? Would the darkness have still consumed him? Would he have still fallen into the hands of the Sith? These are questions with no answers. But they haunt the Star Wars galaxy like a shadow that never fades. Qui-Gon was the only one who truly understood Anakin. The only one who saw him as more than a prophecy, more than a weapon. He would not have treated him like a tool, nor would he have trained him out of duty. He would have trained him out of love, out of understanding, out of the belief that the Force had brought them together for a reason. Obi-Wan did his best, but he was not ready. He was a Jedi Knight, bound by duty, not a master who could give Anakin what he needed. He trained Anakin the way the Council wanted him to, with restraint, with detachment, with the same blind obedience that doomed them all. Qui-Gon would have given him something else, a different path, a path where love was not forbidden, where emotions were not feared, where attachment was not weakness, a path that could have saved him, a path that could have changed everything. Qui-Gon never sat on the Council. He never bowed to their authority. He was a Jedi in name, but not in spirit. He did not believe in their laws. He did not trust their judgment, and he did not seek their approval. He was the last to follow the Force, not the Order. The last to trust in destiny, not control. The last to listen when others refused to hear. He did not see the Force as something to be wielded like a sword, but as something to be embraced, something to be lived, something beyond what the Jedi had reduced it to. That is why they feared him. That is why they rejected him, because he did not need them. He did not seek their ranks, their titles, or their authority. He walked his own path, and in doing so, he became something greater than all of them. When Qui-Gon died, the last true Jedi died with him. The rest were nothing more than ghosts of what they used to be, shadows clinging to an order that had already fallen. It was only a matter of time before the rest of them faded away. In the end, the truth is undeniable. Qui-Gon Jinn was the Jedi that the Order should have followed. He was the one who saw the flaws in their ways, the one who tried to bring them back to what they were meant to be, but they did not listen. And because of that, they fell. He was not perfect. He was not without fault, but he was free. Free to think, free to feel, free to follow the Force without the weight of tradition dragging him down. He was the last Jedi who truly understood what it meant to serve the Force instead of trying to control it. Had he lived, things might have been different. The Jedi might have survived. The war might have been prevented. Anakin might have found peace instead of pain. But that is not what happened. And now, his wisdom is nothing more than an echo in the past. But even in death, his truth remains. The Jedi did not fall because of the Sith. They fell because they lost their way. And the only one who could have saved them was the one they chose to ignore. Thank you for watching. Be sure to check out some of my other videos and other channels as well. I love making videos and want to keep making them. I will see you in the next one.